The rain had just begun to fall in a small industrial town outside Detroit. Lily Carter, 27, sat quietly in the passenger seat of her father's old sedan, staring out the window as the hospital lights faded behind them. Her mind replayed the doctor's words again and again, "There's nothing more we can do. You'll never walk again." It was a sentence she thought she'd never hear. A year ago, she had been climbing trails, chasing dreams, and running with her friends. Now, she felt as though her world had collapsed into a chair with wheels. Her father drove in silence, the windshield wipers beating a steady rhythm. He glanced at her but said nothing, his heart too heavy to find the right words. Beside him, Lily's hands clutched the armrests of her wheelchair, her knuckles pale. She remembered the accident as if it were yesterday, at the screech of tires, the violent spin, the crunch of metal. The doctors had promised recovery after the first surgery, then the second, but each promise dissolved into disappointment. Now, even hope seemed like a cruel luxury. Back home, her mother tried to cheer her with warm meals and kind words, but Lily wasn't hungry. She spent hours in her room staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was what the rest of her life would be. She hated how neighbors looked at her, whispering when they thought she couldn't hear. Once, people admired her energy and spirit. Now, they offered pity instead. That pity hurt more than the pain in her legs. It reminded her that her independence had been stolen. One gray afternoon, the wheel of her chair caught on a crack in the sidewalk and snapped loose. Stuck in the rain, with no way to move, Lily fought back tears of frustration. That's when she noticed the glow of a small auto repair shop across the street. Swallowing her pride, she called out as a man in grease-stained overalls stepped outside. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with kind but weathered eyes. He crouched down beside her, inspecting the broken wheel with the same care he would give to an engine. "Looks like you've had a tough day," the man said, his voice calm and steady. Lily managed a faint smile and muttered, "You could say that." As he tightened the wheel and checked the chair, she told him her story at the accident, the endless hospital visits, and finally the crushing words of her doctors. The man listened without interrupting, then gave a slow nod. "If the doctors gave up, maybe that just means it's time for someone else to try," he said. His name was Jake Lawson, a mechanic known for fixing the impossible. Lily didn't know it yet, but that trainee meeting was the first step toward something extraordinary. The days that followed brought an unexpected rhythm into Lily's life. Jake Lawson, the mechanic she had met in the rain, stopped by her house with sketches and scraps of metal he had collected from his shop. At first, Lily thought he was just being kind, humoring her by tinkering with ideas that couldn't possibly work. But as she watched him work late into the night, sparks flying from his welder, she realized he wasn't just fixing a wheelchair, he was building something entirely new, something meant to give her freedom again. Jake was no doctor, but he had an engineer's mind and a stubborn streak that matched Lily's own. He modified braces, added gears, and designed a lightweight exoskeleton powered by simple mechanics rather than expensive technology. Every day, he invited Lily to test a new piece, encouraging her when she doubted herself. At first, she stumbled, her body weak from months of immobility, but Jake's patience never wavered. "One step is still a step," he told her after she managed to lift herself for just a moment. Word spread quickly through the town. Neighbors who had once whispered with pity now stopped by the garage to watch. Some brought tools, others offered food, and soon, Jake's small shop became a place of hope. Lily felt a shift inside herself. Instead of seeing only what she had lost, she began to see what she still had: strength, determination, and a community that believed in her. For the first time since the accident, she laughed again, her voice echoing through the workshop louder than the clanging of metal. The breakthrough came on a crisp Saturday morning. Jake strapped her into the final version of his invention, a sleek, carefully balanced frame that hugged her legs and waist. He adjusted the straps, wiped the grease from his hands, and stepped back. "Ready?" he asked, his eyes steady on hers. Lily nodded, her heart pounding. With trembling hands gripping the support bars, she pushed herself upward. The room fell silent as, slowly, shakily, she stood on her own 2 feet. The first steps were unsteady, but with each movement, her confidence grew. Tears filled her eyes as she took 3, then 4 steps across the workshop floor. When she turned back, she saw her parents crying, Jake smiling proudly, and neighbors cheering as if she had won a marathon. Lily realized that while the doctors had given up on her, Jake had never seen her as broken. In that moment, she understood. Her legs might never be the same, but her spirit was stronger than ever. Thanks to the mechanic who refused to quit, she could walk again, and she would never stop moving forward.